Futureproof is sponsored by Carrot Events, showcasing your company values with high impact bespoke events. Hello and welcome back to the programme. Thank you for joining me, Sarah Hopwood, as I continue this programme now today. And if you followed me in the first half, then you'll know that I'm actually talking about dealing with personal issues, if you like. We all have them. And Paul and I are actually dealing with a live situation at the moment. And I was looking at the 5 levels of a dysfunctional situation, if you like, and trust is absolutely core to it. But there are other things like avoiding conflict, not being accountable, not doing what you say you're going to do, and basically being results driven. So in this second half, I want to talk about change. Because if we are dealing with a dysfunctional business, or if we have dysfunctional issues in our lives, in our communities, wherever that is, then change needs to happen. And from an emotionally intelligent point of view, if you are driving that change, the first thing we need to do is make sure that we are thinking and behaving effectively and properly and in line with our core values. But also, we need to be able to, if you like, read the room, to be able to look at what is going on around us. And it's not about judging other people. As soon as we start getting into judgment, then we start collecting evidence and things like that, and the waters become muddy. As a leader, you need to stay strategic. You need to stay, if you like, high in the sky with the aerial view. And so really, your job, certainly to begin with, is to notice. Once you've then drawn up a plan of attack, if that's the right word, you can then delegate tasks down and have cascading leadership and implementation to drive through the change. But for the moment, just imagine that you're just literally hovering over the problem. You've double checked your own status. You've double checked your core values are good, that the values, your reason for doing all of this, your reason why is in line with the values of the business or the community that you're in. And now you're just going to notice what other people are doing and where they are, if you like, in their ability to change. And there are some that actually are quite proactive to change. They are prepared to listen and do things a bit differently. But we all know there are those that will just dig their heels in. They have no accountability. This has got nothing to do with me. This is everybody else's fault. If you've ever watched me talk about locus of control, that's external locus control. Everybody's fault. It's all their problem, and they've just could have completely anchored and I think immersed in, it's got nothing to do with me, officer. Everything I'm doing is right, and so therefore I don't need to do anything differently. So to try and talk to somebody about different thoughts and behaviours and thinking patterns, and indeed show them how they can bring about different results, will literally go completely over their head. They will not engage with what is being said. So when we first know about change, there are some people who proactively embrace change. I have seen it, but also there are businesses that are change tired, and we can understand that. There are some places of work where, particularly if they have huge governing bodies over them, that they are constantly in a mode of change, and they're very, very change tired. So I would just want to look at, if you like, the human response to change, and I have some material in front of me that I'm obviously referencing. So when there is change that is really, really not expected, so it could be somebody's behaving really, really badly, you've had an appraisal, you've even had to think about possibly starting a disciplinary process with them, but they are so oblivious to what is going on that they really haven't smelt the coffee. And so when they do finally get this very strong message that what you are doing is wrong and there needs to be significant change, this is what can happen. The cycle can start with shock. First of all, I can't believe you're saying this to me. This has nothing to do with me. Then we go into disbelief, and so when they go into disbelief, they're self-esteem actually either stays the same or actually raises, because they actually believe it has nothing to do with them. But if the problem doesn't go away, and then there's perhaps a second interview, maybe it moves from a verbal warning to a written warning, then suddenly there's self-doubt here and going, actually, I'm really on rocky ground here. And then eventually they hit the bottom, which is around acceptance, of full realization that there is a big issue here that needs changing. And that is when the self-esteem is at the lowest. Then after that, then they think, okay, I'll give it a go. What is it you want me to do? And then they'll have a search for meaning. Oh yes, I could do this, and actually I will benefit from it, because even though I didn't want to go and sit over there, sitting over there, it means that I can get home quicker or something, I don't know. But we actually then give a reason as to why it is working for us. And then we obviously integrate it, we then start living it, and it becomes a state of normality. And I'm looking at this graph and I'm just thinking, where are Paul and I on, or where is the family situation on this graph? We've had the shock. I think everybody's had the shock. The disbelief we've been through. There are still some people sitting in that camp saying it has absolutely nothing to do with me. Some are in self-doubt, but they're actually being pulled back up, if you like, to the people in disbelief, because there's a massive, heavy influence going on in there. And then there are some that have hit acceptance, which is, as I say, when the self-esteem is at the lowest. But that, on that word acceptance, that is where the change occurs. And in our family situation, what has happened is, because things have been particularly not good, where people have been slowly, one at a time, if you like, hitting the bottom and hitting acceptance. What has happened is that in that change is they have had realization of truth, actually, rather than actually being persuaded. So the people driving this who are not getting the results that they want, because what is happening at that point of pain from from the pain that's taken us down to we really do have a problem here, is this almost waking up and going, oh my gosh, we are now understanding things and seeing things that we were either misled or we were confused, we didn't realize. And that is a very, very scary place to be. But it does now mean that as they're coming out of that, opinions are changing. So when you have had acceptance, you've then formed a point of view, a way of accepting the situation, and then you think, okay, we now need to move forward. That's when you then experiment. And in our family situation, this is really weird, because one would anticipate actually persuasion would have taken place and then everybody comes back and toes the line. But that's not what's happening. What is happening is the experimentation is with a completely new way of thinking, and actually new values and new decisions. So it's a bit like buying a new house and a load of new furniture in it. Everything is new in this area. So of course some people wobble and they can find it just a little bit difficult. But we will then integrate it into our new way of thinking. So what are some of the emotions that have been going on in our family and will certainly affect you in the business and your colleagues? So first of all, you have the resistance. People might actually have laughter and respect. What can happen as we drive through the change is we can actually build trust, we can build better engagement, maybe be more reflective. It certainly enhances greater realization. I hope that people are better able to consider what they're hearing now, rather than believing things as blind truth, which is really good. Resolving, if you've been through change and particularly the conflict and you've resolved, then you're better empowered to go and resolve again. And more importantly, tell other people how you've done it and inspire them and help them. It helps us better to act. We will act more quickly next time, to, as I say, volunteer, to share, to advocate. Actually, when somebody says, oh, this is just too hard, I'm just going to walk away, I can't do it, to actually advocate and take the lead and say, do you know what, I reckon you can do this and I'm going to show you how. Always think in three particular areas: what I think, what I want, and how I feel. And these are really, really good questions when people are in conflict, to ask them, what is it you're thinking? What is it that you want and what is it that you're feeling? At one point, there was pressure on a member of the family to go back into another meeting. And I just remember saying, actually, you know, because it's all gone pear-shaped for so long, why don't you write another letter? So there'd been letters everywhere, but write another letter. And in that letter, say what it is that you want to actually say in the meeting. And then the person can decide whether or not they go back in there and have that conversation. And by saying, you need to tell us what you think, what you want and what you feel. When somebody tells you that, you will know immediately whether or not you want to go back into that forum and either go around the same old mountain with same old conversations, or are you hearing something new? Have you noticed a shift? And will that help you maybe make a shift in your thinking first? But of course the other thing is maybe you can do everything first, and you can think, say what you want and how you feel, and you can make those changes first. Good luck with it all. We need it, I can tell you.